Good morning and good afternoon and good evening to you all, and thank you for joining us for another session of the I Am Cameroon bi-weekly show. My name is Ari Obenson. It's always a pleasure for me to be here to share these moments with you all as we all work to play a little part in the future of Cameroon. So I really want to thank you all for being here today. In the midst of our World Cup demise, even though Cameroon is out, we think that there is great hope in the future of this team. They played their part at the World Cup, and for the 25 million Cameroonians that our last census has, we're all playing the World Cup. We all have a responsibility, and we saw 11 players play or 22 players represent Cameroon at the World Cup, but we're all representing Cameroon every day. We're all playing a part in projecting an image for the country Cameroon. So there may not be an audience that is applauding for us, that we're not probably being seen on television, but we are all wearing that jersey and representing Cameroon wherever we are. And in some cases, we're scoring goals, and we're scoring goals for another country's team, right? And so we get together at I Am Cameroon with a purpose. We have a vision. And our vision is for all Cameroonians to take ownership and action for the nation, wherever they are. Our mission is to educate, inspire, and engage Cameroonians to assume and accept responsibility for the future of the nation, Cameroon. That nation lives in the hearts and minds of each one of us. And like I said, we're wearing that jersey, whether we see it or not. We're being representatives of Cameroon. Like every other Saturday, I want to begin today by just sharing a thought. And this is another African quote. And it says, "He who does not seize opportunity today will be unable to take tomorrow's opportunity. He who does not seize opportunity today will be unable to take tomorrow's opportunity." And every conversation that we have here at I Am Cameroon, it's always an opportunity. Opportunity always lies ahead. We cannot go back to change what happened yesterday. We have today to take advantage of. And what we take advantage of today is going to determine what tomorrow is going to be like. So today we're offering an opportunity. We are experiencing a world that is changing rapidly. There's so much transformation. There's systems that are outdated on a daily basis, technology that is evolving fast, engagement platforms increasing significantly, touch points that organizations have to work with are tripling and doubling, tripling and quadrupling as time goes on. And there's a significant amount of data that is being processed on a daily basis. And as organizations grow, systems grow, it's incumbent on individuals, institutions, communities, countries to find ways in which to adapt and manage this transformation. I use the example of, how we've seen in our own lifetime systems that have changed significantly the way business or service is being provided. How have these organizations been able to cope with those changes? what is the philosophy that lies behind those changes. And that's why today we are talking about agile transformation as a pathway to personal growth and transformation, personal and community growth. Personal as individuals, what are the opportunities that lie ahead of us? As a community, how can we take advantage of this trend to enhance the transformation that is needed within our own community, whether it's here in the diaspora or back in Cameroon? But as we go through this session, it's really important for us to see ourselves as not just an island. It's not about us just earning a living, that there's more value that we all bring to society. And how can we take what we learn and apply that to the communities in which we are involved in? And even more importantly, how can we bring that knowledge to transform the country that gave most of us the opportunities to be here today? With that in mind, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker today, who is really going to be talking about agile transformation and has had significant experience in agile transformation and has played a significant role in sharing the knowledge and experience that she has acquired with several other people, not just in the United States, but across the world. So I'm going to, it gives me great pleasure and honor again to introduce to you Rosemary Atanga. Hi, Rosemary.
Hi, Ray. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Pleasure. So, Rosemary, I don't know whether I did enough justice in introducing you there, but let's begin by talking a little bit about you. Who's Rosemary Atanga?
Where do I start?
Here.
I think, Ari, it's I can't even believe that I'm doing this, because when I want to talk about me as Rosemary, I go back to like 20-something years of my corporate career, and just starting with customer service and doing compliance, data integrity, and other things, but nothing about Agile. And in the past few years, I have been introduced to Agile, which has been my bread and butter and has really given me another way of looking at life. And currently, I have been working for over 4 years now as a Scrum Master, team coach, change practitioner, helping teams and companies to experience real value of doing work in a better way. So currently I hold different certifications in the Agile field. I'm a certified Agile coach, certified Agile facilitator, enterprise coach, as well as a SAFe program consultant, in addition to many other certifications in the field. So one thing that I'm passionate about is learning all I can learn about this journey and helping people to understand how easy it is, because prior to that, I had zero IT background. And I had many times people had asked me to be an IT person, but I never thought I had the skill set. So this has been a great journey, and I've continued to share and empower a whole lot of people, and over 7 million in combined salaries globally. So that's me in a nutshell.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much for that introduction. Tell me, if you don't mind, what is the moment, if you had to look back to say, what is the moment that opened your eyes to this?
I think the ability to embrace change is what really, really caught me. So many times we want to do things and we get discouraged, maybe by friends, or the fact that it falls, out of what we do, out of our norm. And so we do not really bother to take that opportunity to learn something new. But this time around, and the person who introduced it to me was really, really good and gave me the impression that, hey, this is not anything challenging. It's about leadership. And as someone who is a leader, by the way, I'm the uh, vice president of LESA. I mean, I'm in so many, about 13 different groups in different leadership roles. So I thought for anything, even if I don't get a job, I wanted to improve on my leadership skills and see what I can bring to the organization, because I don't like working in redundant places. I always want to leave my footprints for anyone who knows me. So that was my why.
Okay, good. It's always good to have a curious mind, because that's really what propels us to new avenues. And let me just take a moment, pause here, and welcome all our guests who are with us, our attendees. Thank you for joining us. Today we're talking about Agile transformation. As we go along, please, you can use the Q&A section of the Zoom to leave a question which we would address as we go along. If you also have comments that are not questions, you could also use the chat section. We're also, this is being broadcasted live on YouTube. So if you have people who cannot join on Zoom and you want to share the link with them, you just look for I Am Cameroon on YouTube or Je suis le Cameroon. Either one will direct people to it. At this point, we're going to go a little bit into the meat of Agile transformation, and I'll just begin by asking you, Rosemary, just the standard questions, and I think you have a presentation to go along with that. The standard thing where we start with what is Agile transformation.
Okay, can you move to the next slide? Okay. To talk about Agile transformation, I think the first thing we want to understand is what is Agile itself. Agile is just a way of managing a project. And the way you manage that project is that you break it into, we call it iterations or sprints. And with Agile, you're constantly collaborating with your customers or whoever you're working with. And so at every given stage, you're improving the process as you go. Think about most of the things that you buy already made. You want to buy a ready-made dress, buy a house that has already been built. It's not according to your specs. But if you had to buy this house by talking to the builder, you probably have a different way of, you have different things that you want in that house. You might tell them, okay, my first floor, I want a living room there, I want a recreational room, and you give details of what you want. But the house that you buy already made might not have all of those details. So Agile is that mindset where you start by thinking about the customer, how that particular product or service will benefit the customer, what problem are they trying to solve. And in the Agile methodology, there are different ways of looking at different ways of working on a project. You can use popularly, there's what they call Scrum. We'll not go into details because it's a whole, it's a lot of things, but I'll give enough information that will make you very knowledgeable by the end of this. And then there is also Kanban, which is another way of, managing a project, as well as SAFe, where you manage a project on a large scale by promoting faster time to market. And then there's extreme programming. Can you move to the next one? Now, with the Agile methodology, one thing that happens is that you work iteratively in sprints or iterations, and the whole process of software development is not done sequentially, which means you're not moving from one group of people who are probably planning the project to the next group of people who are analyzing. You're actually putting the team together in one unit. Think about the soccer. Nobody plays alone. You have to always think about the next person, think about how they are going to improve the outcome. So you work together iteratively to deliver value. So if you had to do a project that would normally take 6 months, You break the projects into small units, and at every given time, you come to Ari and say, Ari, look at what I've done so far. Are you happy? Ari says, yes. Okay, so you know that this is what Ari wants. You go to the next phase, and the next phase until there is a release, which is Ari's final product. And with that type of collaborative effort, there is no way Ari is not going to like the product, because Ari has been part of the process. So that is the Agile mindset. Go to the next. Prior to Agile, there is what was known as Waterfall. It's another way of managing projects, and we still do have a lot of companies that are still using this approach to manage projects. The difference between Agile and the Waterfall is that you're using a linear approach, because the process of managing a project, there are several stages to managing a project. So with the Waterfall method, you actually gather your requirements ahead of time. Ari wants a house. It's a 3-bedroom house. I am the contractor. I'm going to buy my cement, do everything, get a 3-bedroom house. I'm not really, even though there's it's collaboration, I mean, there's some level of collaboration, I'm not really looking into Ari's details. I'm just going to get a standard 3-bedroom house for Ari. So the Waterfall is named like that because every process each stage cascades into the next, just like a waterfall. And if you go to the next slide, it will give you a better understanding of how Waterfall works. Now, like I was saying, you start by gathering the requirements, right? And then you fit in the whole project plan into those requirements that you've gathered. So if you were building a house and these are the things, you've bought all your materials for that house, you're just going to work based on what you have. Now, if you have that project lined out or mapped out for, say, 6 months, and you start building it, or if it's a software and you start developing it, just say you get to the testing phase and you discover that there's a problem. With the Waterfall approach, going back becomes a major, major issue. And that is why if you look at your organizations, there are many, many projects that has been orphaned or completely abandoned, or they've become redundant. Why? Because they get to a point where the customer does not want the product anymore, and then you test it and it's not working accordingly, there are defects, and you start wondering, should I go back to where I started with the requirements? Maybe I gathered the wrong requirements, or maybe the person doing the analysis did not do it right, or could it have been the coding implementation? So I mean, with so many gray areas, some people or most companies will look at it like, okay, it's easier to just put money and start something new than to try fixing something that is completely damaged, and then you might end up losing money. And that is why Agile is becoming very, very popular. And of course, there's the Scrum framework. Go back to that. Yeah, there's the Scrum framework and Kanban, which are the most popular frameworks that fall within the Agile methodology. The Scrum is just is mostly used by development teams, and they break projects either in increments of 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks, and using that same Agile approach of working in sprints. And then with Kanban, you're using a lean approach. And what is lean? Lean is just removal of waste. If you think about lean meat, what is very common with lean meat? You don't see a lot of fatty stuff with lean. So lean uses that approach where you're removing waste. So with Kanban, you actually visualize your work like on a billboard. Think about when you go to New York. What do you normally see on Times Square? You have a lot of billboards telling you the next show, what is coming up next, so that if you go there as a visitor, you don't have to struggle to figure out where you want to go and things like that. You can easily just look at the billboard and say, okay, this is what I want to attend at this time. So many companies, it's not only software companies, even in manufacturing and many other, even personal, as professionals or family, mom, dad, many people are using Kanban to manage their personal stuff. Most mothers, if you look at their daily schedule, They always have it planned from when their kids wake up from 5 to 6. I'm doing this, 6 to 7, I'm doing this. That is a typical Kanban. Why do you have that? It gives you an opportunity to visualize your workflow so that you can know what is happening next and you're not taking too many things at once, because when you start putting too many things on your table, you get confused. So those are frameworks that companies are using. And then of course there is SAFe. And to describe SAFe, I didn't put that out there, but SAFe is another method of managing a project that is used by so many large organizations. Currently, we have all the big banks like Bank of America, Wells Fargo using SAFe, and SAFe implementation helps you to deliver faster time to market. So you can you actually create things that what they call agile release trains to deliver your products faster. So what happens with the SAFe approach is, instead of managing a project, using those teams, you now have like team of teams. So you have multiple teams. And what is the goal of this? Think about a train. If you're going from, say, Baltimore to New York, and you take a car that carries about 5 people, 5 people will leave Baltimore to New York. Now, if your business is growing and you buy a train, and a train has 20 carriages and each carriage has 100 people, how many people will be in that train to New York? So that is faster time to market. So everything in this whole industry makes a whole lot of sense. Go to the next. And now, what is agile transformation, which is our whole topic for today? Agile transformation is that art of actually transforming an organization's form, which means the culture, the way people think, and embracing a different way of working, where people are collaboratively working. If you look at the way we used to work in the past, there so many organizations work in very siloed environment, where things are, before you get information from this person, you probably need to have some connection with that person, because everyone wants to, there was a lot of like selfishness. People wanted to just guard what they know, and information sharing was a whole lot of problem. So Agile has come to really, really look at a different way of doing business by giving everyone an opportunity to be part of the process so that you can get the best. So with the Agile transformation, you're really, really looking at a whole organization and transforming the whole, everything about how they do business, how the people even think. And so you really, really have to do something like a change management, which of course is another topic, because before you bring or introduce change into any organization, you have to start by creating that awareness, which there's something we call in the change management, the ADKAR approach. You have to bring that awareness about why change is necessary. You start looking at other competitors. What edge do they have over you? What are they doing that they are making so much money and you're not making so much money? So there are so many industry experts that actually came, sat down, and looked at the way things used to be done, and then they came up with better ways of doing it. And there's something they also call the Agile Manifesto. And the Agile Manifesto came to look at the best approaches to managing projects, where they say it's easier to, even though we look at the processes that we follow, but they say, let us look at the individuals and interactions. At the end of the day, let's think about working software. So no matter what we are doing, we have to come up with an outcome where we're building things that the customer really wants. And then, of course, the aspect of customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Every company wants to negotiate a contract with you, but the whole, for you to get that client experience, you have to be able to collaborate with the customer. And what does that collaboration mean? It means you have to have the customer's vested interest at heart. You need to know exactly what they want and how you're going to satisfy them before signing a contract. And I'll give you an example here. I remember once, this sales, you know how salespeople are. They are very, very gifted people. This guy came into my house, and I mean, he was just a door-to-door salesman. Came into my house and did a demo on some vacuum Kirby cleaner or something, Kirby vacuum. To be honest, he was so fast that within 5 minutes, I was able to make a decision to buy a vacuum cleaner for $2,500 on a $10 salary. Talk about madness. I've never seen anything like that. So this guy leaves without really giving me the details and some, disadvantages and disadvantages of using the Kirby. By the next day, I started trying to put things together. I couldn't. And when I called him, I couldn't reach out to him. I was so frustrated that I started calling the 1-800 number. The bottom line is I found a way to take back that vacuum cleaner. But when you are collaborating with your customer, the customer becomes, you start thinking about yourself as the customer. You're thinking about the customer as your mom, as your dad. And when you think about the customer in that light, then you will make sure that whatever you want to give to the customer is something that you would like to use. And that's why when you go to Bank of America, I worked in Bank of America before. When you go to Bank of America, on every door, it says, think of yourself as the customer first. Because when you think of yourself as a customer, you will know exactly how best to answer a customer's query when they call you. You'll not just be angry and things like that. So agile transformation is really the aspect of bringing a cultural shift to the way an organization does business. And then we can go to the next. And they are why is agile very important now? Why is it popular? By the way, if you're attending this, you could be attending it for one or two reasons. Maybe you want to change your career, or you want to even integrate agile in your own personal business. Either way, it's a win-win, because when you start looking at the agile way of doing anything, you will start seeing almost instant improvement. And for agile to get into any, for you to introduce agile into a company, there has to be that executive buy-in and commitment, which means you start from the portfolio level. They have to understand exactly what is in it for them. Why would they need to change their culture, change everything? Because it takes a whole lot of money. You have to have the subject matter experts. There are a lot of things. People have to be trained. Systems have to change. So there are a lot of things. Somebody has to make that decision. There has to be some level of sponsorship. So they have to be that executive approval. And then you have to choose what is best for your company. So there's no one size fits all. In my career over the past years, I have had an opportunity to work with the government, with the Food and Drug Administration. I've worked in the healthcare industry as well, HIMARC, and then of course in the banking sector, where I have over 14 years of experience in different roles, including Agile. So you have to decide and sit down with the executive to choose exactly what do you really want to introduce, because Agile does not work in every process. For example, you might be trying to introduce Agile in a healthcare sector. The surgical process has already standard ways of doing things. You don't have to change the way probably a laparoscopic surgery should be done and things that are standardized. But if you want to change the process, say you're moving from paper billing to automated billing, you know that it's going to really, it's going to increase the productivity, because the time that people take to fill out those timesheets and things will automatically be cut off. So you have to look at what your company is doing, what aspects of Agile can you bring, what processes do you want to change, and that is how Agile coaches, change agents actually sit down and decide, work with the companies and see exactly what they are doing, and they start figuring out or coming up with a package of what to introduce. And then you have to also have those teams, they have to be trained. You look at the company culture, what must change in that company culture to integrate Agile, because it's not always a walkthrough. I've worked with companies where they tell you this is what they want. You go in with your team, and anything you want to suggest, they push back, because people are very, very, when it comes to change, people really have a hard time adopting change. I've worked in different places where somebody just says, you know what, I don't want to be part of this. I have nothing to do with it. Just keep me where I don't have to deal with the word Agile nor deal with the word change, because people are just very stuck in their old ways of doing things. But we're living in a world that it's very unstoppable. Agile has come to stay and is going to continue to, so many companies are going to continue adopting Agile. And of course, there has to be that commitment to continuous learning. We live in the age of technology, the age of speed. So one thing about Agile is that you have to be ready to continue learning different ways of doing things, improving business. We saw how COVID came and changed our lives. I never really thought it was possible to be going around wearing masks. We never knew it was possible for students as young as 5 years to be doing classes virtually. Some teachers never even knew it was possible for them to teach online. But we saw that with COVID, life had to continue. So many companies had to go through that change process to adopt Agile. And of course, you have to find different metrics of measuring growth. What type of KPIs do you want to use for measuring your growth? And KPIs are just key performance indicators. So, those are things that you have to consider before introducing Agile transformation to your company. And what's next?
Okay, so I'm going to open at this point to any questions from the audience. But Rosemary, thank you for giving us a sense of what the Agile methodology is, and rounding it up with what Agile transformation is. So I'm a lawyer by background, and I spent most of my adult life in a not-for-profit industry, and this almost seems like rocket science to me, and I really need for you now to make that connection between Agile transformation in itself being a philosophy and how that can be applied everywhere. Because I just had a board meeting last on Thursday, and one of the things that I was talking to my board was about how we're taking a 100-year-old organization and trying to make it agile, right? How philosophically, if I'm not into the many software platforms, if I don't see this from the perspective that those who are practitioners see it, how can we take this agile transformation philosophy and apply it in the context of everyday life, apply it in the context of Cameroon, where we are seeing huge challenges with say garbage collection? How can we take that kind of agile knowledge and say, if we wanted to clean up Bamenda, right? If we wanted to clean up Bamenda, how can we apply these concepts in that context?
I like the concept of clean up Bamenda.
Yeah.
And the one thing I've done in teaching Agile is I like breaking it into the most simple way that anybody can understand, right? What is very common everywhere in Cameroon, heaps and heaps and heaps of trash almost everywhere. So we have a system where nobody is accountable. So we keep saying, okay, hopefully they'll clean this part, they'll clean that part. But the one thing about Agile is prioritization. Prioritization simply means you look at what are the most pressing things that we need to change. We create a backlog of those things, which are just listed items. We create backlogs and then we put future goals, because for Agile to succeed, you have to have timelines. This is what I want to do, and here is the timeline. So when you create those backlog of activities, you want to put a timeline and you start doing them. We can clean the whole Bamenda in 1 month. If we say we are going to prioritize and we start doing a campaign to educate people why we have to keep Bamenda clean. Take note, Bamenda is not the only place in the world. There are many other African cities that are so clean, and that is the difference between those people and the people of Bamenda or anywhere is just the culture. You have to make people start changing the culture bit by bit. So we can take one area, just as we call it in Bamenda, quartiers, or different sections of Bamenda, and say, okay,
let's start with Aziri.
Aziri, my quartier, right? We start there and say we will clean maybe every Saturday or every day. We'll start by cleaning all the, getting rid of all the heaps of dirt and creating some kind of a garbage waste place where we can keep this, and let every Bamenda man come and stand, or the people of Aziri, look at how beautiful it looks and feels to live in that clean environment. And then the next thing is, when the next person even starts coming close to Aziri and see that Aziri is that clean, they'll be ready to start adopting the same thing. So by the time you move from one city to the other, it will become the culture. When people start living living that way of life, it will be very easy to reinforce, and then you have to encourage them. And that is one thing about Agile, self-organization. When you make people to understand how to improve their lives and give them all the tools that they need to improve their lives, it becomes part and parcel of them. When you empower them, encourage them, and create ways that they can continue to practice this habit, it becomes their way of life. And that is exactly how you can implement that. So you have to look at your organization and take a critical look at some of the things that are not working so well. Prioritize them and say, what is one thing that I want to change? Even if you look at your own personal life, what is one thing that you want to change? You put it in top priority, and then you start going gradually down the list, and make sure that before you go to the next thing, you've accomplished the first one, because that is how Agile works. When you prioritize tasks, you don't just prioritize them for the sake of prioritizing them. You gradually walk through those items until you deliver value, because at every end of the increment, there has to be what they call an MVP, which is a value proposition. You have to deliver value at the end. So once you start taking that approach, then you will you will see value, you will see instant success in the way you do things, and what you're getting back from the whole Agile process.
Well, thank you. This is really helpful in the context of who we are as an organization, where our mission is to educate, inspire, and engage people. And the education aspect is what we started talking about, Agile transformation. But even being able to inspire people to see that this is more than just a professional opportunity. This is more than just an opportunity to earn a living. This is about system change. And that the people who are involved in Agile transformation, many of them in the diaspora, are actually contributing to something bigger, which sometimes may be lost in the day-to-day work that we do. But the outcomes could be transformative, even as we look at the context of Africa and how we are going to be able to get Africa to where it should be. It has to be with the speed, with certain agility, a philosophy that is thinking this way, that we can solve these big problems that we face in Cameroon or other African cities, if we can apply some of the systems that have been developed. And once you have applied the system and it can be replicated, you also identify the tools that are necessary for you to be able to achieve the outcomes that are necessary for this. So let's talk about, how do I get involved in this? If now that I'm getting excited, coming from somebody who doesn't know much about the Agile profession itself. How do I get involved in this? And what do I need to be involved in this? How long will it take me to get to as much knowledge as you have shared here today?
That's a very good question. To get involved in this, you just need to be willing to have a mindset change, to embrace something new. And you don't need any special skills. You just need yourself to say, you know what, I want to do this, because it doesn't matter what you don't know. I will take you from zero knowledge to being a professional. And I think there are a few people online I hope they are here, who within 2 weeks, and my program runs for 2 weeks. And why is it 2 weeks? Because I have narrowed it down to practical knowledge. Anyone who has had an opportunity to be mentored by me will tell you that I spend time just teaching what I know and understand very well, so that by the time you leave, you really, really can apply the concept. Even if you're not getting a job immediately, you can apply it into your own personal business, personal lives. And if there are a few people, I know we're almost running out of time. If Elsa or Kado or who else need Divine, even Lillian can share her 1 minute experience, learning about Agile and, making use of it. But maybe Kado, who is out of the country, if she's there, find out if she's online, she can share her experience.
I'm not sure which. Okay, I have Elsa.
Okay.
And I have.
There is a hand up though. There's a hand up.
Yes, that I have also.
Yes, it's me.
Yes.
Okay, that's Divine. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, folks, for giving me this opportunity to share some ideas. I have to tell you that Rosemary is loaded. You'll see that head like that. It's full of good stuff. And I say this just not to throw flowers on her. I say this because it comes from my heart. I am one of the consumers of her class courses. I just graduated from her class, and I'm seeing the world completely different. Now, let me give you one example. As most of you would have known me, I am the host, I'm the owner and host for Chat Night Africa broadcast platform. Recently, a company, an organization in the United States contacted us to host their podcast and videos. Unfortunately, that came before I joined the class. And so we're just groping in the dark. And so my technology chief got to a stage in the project which the project owner came in and said, oh my God, I don't want this. I don't want this. This is how I would have loved this to go. Now, this is how Agile would have helped us be more accomplishing and more purposeful in the strategies and procedures we're taking. The first thing we would have done, and this is what we would have done differently had I known what I know now, we would have done that project in iterations. In other words, we do step one, and then, what we do, they call sprint sessions. We put in sprint sessions, and therefore we do one sprint, we assess it, we bring the project owner in and say, okay, we are at either about step 5 steps to accomplish the project. At the end of step 1, we will bring something of value, deliverable, that we can show the owner that this is where we are now. Now, if you need some adjustments, we would like to get your input. Now, we failed to do that. We ran the project to the end before we brought in the owner, and then this meant dismantling the whole thing, which is about the Waterfall project, a methodology she was talking about. Because when you do the Waterfall methodology, adaptation is difficult, and if not even more expensive to do, like what we're trying to do now. We're trying to fix a thing from square one, whereas if we had broken the project into iterations, it would have served everybody one time and cost. So I really, really want to thank Rosemary for this knowledge I've gained, and I will do things really different. Listen, when I see this woman at Resurrection Catholic Church in her CWA uniform, I did not know that she knew how much she does. Believe me, and she's so passionate about it. This is what fascinates me the most about Rosemary, because having the knowledge is one whole thing. The passion behind it, the passion that drives her delivery, her clear communication is phenomenal. So thank you, Rose. I thought I should share this and just say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Beautiful. That's great, Mr. Chemokong. That's really very, very helpful, because it's a practical example of how you take the knowledge, this agile transformation, and apply it in the context of what is mundane, what is our ordinary day lives. I know that I also grant Elsa.
Elsa.
Yeah, Elsa.
Yeah.
You have a question.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to come in and speak. Um, my story is a little bit different somehow, but I would say I did come like 2 years ago, and before when I came here, I had gone to nursing school and I'm done practicing as a nurse, and I was so excited. But at one point, I discovered that it seems I'm not really happy with what I'm doing, but still, I wanted the money, right? So I was going there and doing what I'm doing. And unfortunately for me, 2020, I got pregnant and I couldn't work anymore. I had a very difficult pregnancy, so I just had to stop working. At that point, I started thinking, you know, I went back, started thinking and saying, what am I going to do with my life right now? And of course, they say Agile is change. You have to be spontaneous. You have to know what your next step and what you have to do the next minute. So in that moment, I call her Auntie Rose. She's a very sweet, sweet lady. So Auntie Rose, I came to her and she was introduced by my best friend. So I came to her and she actually, I was so fascinated about a lot of things because I could not imagine at that moment that I studied something 2 years ago and I didn't know anything of what I'm doing. I just had to come in and like she took me through a lot of things, made me understand the agile concept, made me understand what Scrum actually is, and walk me through everything. She has everything that you need. When you go there, you will know she has the loaded package that you need. You just ask and she will pour it to you. But there is one thing, she will give you everything that you need, but the rest is left to you, how you handle it. Because no matter what, she will give you everything you need. But now it's on your own path, how the effort you put in, how resilient you are to go towards it. So fortunately for me now, on my first attempt, the first job I had a job at FedEx presently. I'm a Scrum Master there, and they're actually practicing safe and all of that. So she has been like a weapon, a mentor, and I would say if you go there, you get a lot of knowledge. The other person already said it. So she's blessed with a lot of things, and I want to say I always tell her thank you for making me who I am today.
Thank you very much, Elsa.
Okay.
Great testimonies. I'm going to turn this over to Kado, which will be our last testimony, and then we'll be wrapping this up. We have about nine more minutes to go. So, Kado.
Hi everyone.
Like, Agile has been transformational for you in your lifestyle.
All right. Hi everybody. And thanks again for Auntie Rosemary for linking me up to this call. I'm currently in the UK and it's been a great journey on my end. I came to know her through my father-in-law. That was just an error, but it was an error in a blessing, actually. She's been really inspirational to me. And just to tell you a little bit about the Agile journey with Auntie Rosemary, once she got me on board, which I wasn't really sure because I was currently in finance, and I knew you can't get any better if you're in finance, right? So how was I going to do this transformation, getting from finance into Agile? But the one thing for me I noticed was your mindset. Once you have the right mindset, once you're in that space where you think you want to take that challenge, where you want to make that move, that transformation, then I bet you can go anywhere you want to be anytime. And that's for me, the path I took, and I've seen the massive difference. It was not just the challenge I wanted, the pay package was very inspiring as well. The massive jump was just a no-brainer. I just had to do this thing. So I want to encourage everybody out there, anyone who is trying to do Agile or thinking about it, do not hesitate. Get on that wagon join the boat and let's sail along. It's a fantastic journey. It's a good place to be in. You want to collaborate with people. If you're that person who likes collaborating, who likes seeing value in the things you do instantly, then Agile is that space for you. And thank you so much, Auntie Rosemary, again for being there and the inspiration, your wise and positive words. And I'm where I am today. Thank you, thank you. Thanks, guys.
Great. This is what I love about Africa. We call our teachers auntie. This is this is the African touch.
Don't call me mommy.
Some call me well. There you go. So I at this point I'm just going to pause a little bit and run through, try to engage the audience here a bit, and we really just have a poll that we want to launch. There are just a few questions which will give us a sense and really inform how we continue with this Agile conversation. And if you are connected, please just take a minute to respond to this poll. Maybe those of you who are panelists may not be able to respond to it, but if you can, the first question we're asking is, how much knowledge do you have of Agile transformation? Because that would give us a sense of who is in our audience and how we can prepare for future shows if we're going to continue with this conversation. What is your level of interest to gauge how interested our audience is in this? Would you like to have a follow-up of this sessions? And then, has the conversation so far been helpful to each one of you? We're going to keep the poll open for the next 1 minute or so, so that as many people can be part of this conversation, and then that should really inform how we approach this next. But I hope that this has really been great, and really the key is, how do we take this numerous number of people with knowledge on Agile transformation? How can we harness? How can we leverage your knowledge, that mindset, to make Agile transformation in our communities? For example, how can we apply this in the Njangi groups that we've had for generations? How can that be transformational? I keep thinking of that because I'm not a practitioner of in the field. Maybe as a practitioner, I will think about this differently. But we have about 6 more seconds, and we'll close the poll here. I see that we have about 10 people who have participated in it. 11 now, and we will be closing in 15 seconds. Let's say 15 seconds. I'll give it 15 seconds, and I'll close here the pool. So far we see that most of the people attending, about 45% of our attendees here have basic knowledge. 36% have advanced. I'll end the pool now, and then I'll share the results. I'll share those results so everybody can see. We have 45% have basic knowledge, 36% have advanced knowledge. There is great interest in Agile transformation at 82%. So that tells us that we have to continue this conversation. 100% would like us to join future sessions of this. And 91% of our attenders say this has been helpful. 9% say it's somewhat helpful. So there is great interest, Rosemary, in this conversation, and I think there's never enough time for conversations like this. I think we need to continue these conversations. And let me just say, how can people, if people wanted to jump in? A lot of people have spoken about how you have worked with them. I don't know whether there are people who are interested in joining today. If they are not, there may be people who would watch this on YouTube and want to follow up to join. So, Rosemary, what can we offer people to be part of this whole Agile transformation development?
Anyone who actually joins my session from this, from I Am Cameroon or through I Am Cameroon, they will definitely get a discount, which is really, really good, because as we move into the next year, I really, really have great plans for helping people. It's a full package. Not only do you learn about the whole process of Agile, Scrum, Kanban, SAFe, but all the way through resumes. And that's a whole topic in itself. And I think another topic that I'll talk about in the future is the resume topic, but definitely you get a discount. You can just reach me or reach I Am Cameroon to get my information. And you can plan to join my next class.
Yeah, Rosemary, if you don't mind, can you drop your contact information in the chat group? If you would want to benefit from the discount, you can join I Am Cameroon, and it's very easy. Just go to iamcameroon.org/join, and you can join whether you're in the diaspora or you're in Africa. A few things. We're asking people to save their date. We'll probably have some in-person thing that has to do with Agile transformation when we meet in June for our annual diaspora conference. And we also would have our next session, which is coming up on December 17th. And based on what we took in the polls, there probably will be, we will continue this conversation around Agile transformation. Any closing remarks from you, Rosemary, or anyone on the I Am Cameroon team will be very helpful at this point.
All I can say is dare to have a mindset change, and you can change your life tremendously.
Yeah, absolutely, Rosemary. I really, really adore what you have done today. And I think joining I Am Cameroon, this concept of Agile transformation can be placed in any aspect. I am a wellness coach. Come join us. You're going to learn the iterative steps to really gaining wellness, right? So it's all applicable in every aspect of our lives. Everybody in this team, all the board members, are winning goals. We want to win goals for Cameroon. So come join us and really gain and actually contribute towards this transformative platform that we have. Looking forward to seeing you all next session.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. In the next session, we're going to go on to go deeper into how we take Agile transformation and apply, how we can make ourselves marketable, how we can get involved in it, and how we can grow together as a community. I want to thank you all for being here today, for joining us for another session of the I Am Cameroon show. We'll look forward to connecting with you again on December 17th for our last show of the year, as we begin to look forward towards 2023. Rosemary, thank you. Angela, thank you. It's been great having you all on the show today.
Thank you all. Hope you had fun.
It was great.
It was great.